Start of the heavyweight title fight between Larry Holmes and Evander Holyfield just about to get underway in Las Vegas. We have our experts there. They will bring you round-by-round coverage. And then when the fight is over, Charlie Steiner will join us live with an update. It is underway between Evander Holyfield and Larry Holmes. We score the first round 10-9 Holyfield. He was very much the aggressor. The second round is underway, and thus far going about the same way. We'll continue to update as the fight progresses. Stephen. Round two is now over, and the ESPN scorecard gives it 10-9 to Larry Holmes, evening things at one round apiece. Stay with us. We'll update throughout the night. Back to you.
Well, let's get an update on the fight from John Saunders.
Round number 3 now in the books, and the ESPN scorecard has it 10-9 for the champion. Continue to update. Right now, he leads 2 rounds to 1. Back to you. ESPN scorecard has it 10-9 Holyfield in round number 4. Larry Holmes spending much of the time on the ropes just trying to avoid punches. Right now, let's take it back to Steve and Dave. 4 of the first 5 rounds have now gone to the champion, Evander Holyfield, on our ESPN scorecard. The 6th round is now underway. We'll update that when it's done. Back to you. Round number 6 goes to the champion as well, although Evander Holyfield is cut above his right eye. His corner is claiming it was a headbutt, but Larry Holmes, or an elbow, Larry Holmes has become more aggressive, but leaving himself open to punches. Round number 7 goes to Larry Holmes. The bleeding is stopped over the champion's eye. Good job by the corner. Combinations are effective for Evander Holyfield, while Larry Holmes continues his patented jab. Back to Stephen Day. Great, rather uneventful, but Holyfield, the champion, a little bit more active, so our ESPN scorecard gives him the nod. Let's get it back to you.
John Saunders.
Well, Holyfield and Holmes may be trying to bore each other into a knockout. Right now, this latest round goes 10-9 to the champion, but very uneventful. Let's get it back to you on this base hit.
With John Saunders.
Well, after the 10th round, you're probably glad you are watching the baseball game instead of this fight. We scored at 10-10 because nobody did a darn thing. Let's get it back to Stephen Dave.
John Saunders.
Well, there's just 1 round to go, and this may be the first fight in history where the 2 fighters can go home after it without taking a shower. Not much going on here. We give this one to Larry Holmes. 1 round to go. We'll update it.
I'm Chris Fowler. Tonight on SportsCenter, Holyfield and Holmes Rumble. We'll have live post-fight coverage. Plus, the surprising truths and strange lies from Day 2 of the U.S. Open. Join Jim Bergamo and me right after the game.
The fight is now over. The 12th round, according to the ESPN scorecard, goes to Evander Holyfield, the champion. So unofficially, we have him retaining his undisputed championship. When the official decision comes down, we'll let you know. Now the official decision is in, unanimous. 116-112, 116-112, and 117-111. That's how the 3 judges and the officials scored. We'll have more in just a moment. We'll get back to the baseball game in just a moment, but first, the class of champions did not turn out to be much of a clash of champions. Evander Holyfield, unanimous decision. His record now 28-0. Charlie Steiner is standing by in Las Vegas. He's joined by Al Bernstein. They'll have the pictures, the interviews, and the analysis. But first, your first impressions, Charlie.
John, it was a promotion that was lackluster from the get-go. And unfortunately, the fight lived up to the advanced billing. It wasn't much of a fight, a unanimous decision, as you mentioned. Our scorecard had it 117-112. It was pretty much in jive with the judges. Carol Castellano had it 116-112. Glenn Hamada 117-111. Chuck Giampa had it 116-112. And I think more than anything else, it was a matter of the younger Evander Holyfield being a lot busier than the aging Larry Holmes was. This, of course, Al Bernstein, your first impressions.
Well, yeah, it ended up being lackluster, primarily because this was a very flat performance by Evander Holyfield. Did enough to win, could not throw his combinations, and Charlie, the most amazing statistic of this fight in my mind, the best punch Evander Holyfield has is an uppercut. Guess how many he threw? Just 1 in the 9th round. No combinations from Holyfield. Did enough to win, though.
In the 3rd round, however, there were a couple of uppercuts, or not uppercuts, but right hands by Evander Holyfield that seemed to stagger Larry Holmes at least a little bit. That may have been the most damage that Holyfield did all night.
Yeah, he was able to get the right hand in. Mostly, he was able to get the right hand in when he first went to the body. But he did that so seldom in this fight that most of it was like this. Holmes staying on the ropes, Holyfield staying a little too close to Holmes, like Ray Mercer did, not able to land that effectively, although as you see here in round 3, that was a time when that right hand was able to get into the head of Holmes. The body work, as we see here by Holyfield, was not as plentiful as I think he would have liked.
At the end of round 6, Evander Holyfield walked into an accidental elbow by Larry Holmes, and that may have, at least at that point, turned the tide of the fight. But the unsung hero in this fight was Cutman Ace Murata.
He did a wonderful job on the right eye of Holyfield. Even though the eye did swell and swelled almost shut, the cut never did imperil Holyfield, and it was not called as an elbow. It was called as just a punch because Mills Lane couldn't really see if the elbow had landed.
It was a matter of Holyfield literally walking into the elbow as the final bell for the end of round 6 sounded. And at that point, it looked to be a very serious cut in the worst place in the world. You want to have a cut right over here because the blood tends to fall into the eye and impede the vision.
Yeah, at that moment, also, Larry Holmes being the veteran that he was, remember, instead of laying on the ropes, and at that point, he came to center ring, landed some thunderous right hands to the head of Holyfield and some jabs, and Holmes had been getting out jabbed to that point, and he pushed Holyfield back thinking, if this guy's cutting, he's going to react badly. I'm going to take advantage of it right now. It lasted for about a minute and a half.
He seemed to be invigorated in the 7th, and as we go to the 11th round, at this point, it seemed both guys were beginning to tucker out, although Holmes, this was his last stand in the 11th round, it seemed to me.
This was the round in which Larry Holmes had his best moments, I think, because he was able to counter Holyfield coming in and land some very good right hands. And it just wasn't enough for Holmes because he couldn't sustain it, and he ended up throwing about, by the punch numbers, about 70 or 80 punches less than Holyfield.
So a unanimous decision for Evander Holyfield, and still the questions will abound about his legitimacy as a heavyweight champion. He could not take out a 42-year-old former champion. It went the distance. Holyfield wins it by a unanimous decision. Al and I will be back in just a little bit. Wally Matthews is stationed outside the locker rooms of both fighters. We'll have interviews with them, the news conference, more analysis. For now, for Charlie Steiner and Al Bernstein, let's go back to John Saunders in our Baseball Tonight studios. John?
All right, Charlie and Al, thank you very much. So once again, unanimous decision. Evander Holyfield, the winner over the old and slumping Larry Holmes.
Larry came out knowing that he needed the knockout.
And he tried to get a knockout. It provoked Holyfield a bit, but he went for him. And I think in the last couple of rounds, he proved more superior, the guy in charge in the last couple of rounds.
You know, George, you mentioned the lack of body work by Holyfield. To me, that was shocking because he's such a good body puncher, as you know from your fight with him. And when you go to the body against Holmes and then come to the head, he's almost defenseless. Mercer showed that. Why do you think Holyfield didn't go to the body more?
Holmes was able to deliver not knockout right hands, but just quick right hands to scare him. He started thinking, if I go down here, he's going to hit me with that right hand again and knock me out. It wouldn't have knocked him out, but he wasn't sure. Like I said, one was scared and the other was glad of it.
George, where does this leave you in the mix now? Larry did not appear to be terribly interested in fighting again. He wanted to go home and fish. What's all in it for you now?
Well, you keep hearing these guys saying he's got to go fight young guys. Let him go out there. We've given this guy over $40 million, these so-called old guys. Let him go out there and fight these young guys and see if he come back with just picking chicken out of his teeth. If you want to eat steak, you're going to have to come to George Foreman. My fans and my right hand, left hand, we can do it. I got hit last time, you know.
I remember. Well, for Mo, Larry, and Curly over here, that's going to do it for this edition here at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. Evander Holyfield, of course, the unanimous decision. We'll have more later here from Caesars. Let's go back to Sports Center.
And on Newsnight Update, the main event in Las Vegas is through. We will tell you if Evander Holyfield is still the heavyweight champion of the world. Heavyweight champ Evander Holyfield held on to his title in a unanimous decision reached about an hour ago. Holyfield outboxed challenger Larry Holmes in Las Vegas Friday night. CNN's Nick Charles talked with the champ.
With heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield. Evander, you just won 12 rounds with a 42-year-old guy who seemed to want to press the action at times. How do you feel right now?
I feel good. You know, I felt that I fought a smart fight. I fought a guy that pretty much wanted to go 12. And very defensive fighter and very slick.
Did he ever surprise you? Did he shake you up at all?
No, he didn't surprise me. As times that I let him get away with a lot of things to try to get him to become more offensive where I can counterpunch, because it got to a point where he just laid on the rope so much to the point where he was trying to get me to punch myself out.
Did you ever rattle him, Evander?
Well, I felt that I hit him with some good shots, but he was able to throw his hands up in a very good defensive way and keep me from hitting him with the other clean shots that I needed to get him out of there.
Tell me about your eye. You started bleeding around the 6th. It was an elbow. How bad was that, and how do you feel now?
Well, I really didn't know how bad it was when I was in the ring. I had a chance to look at it, and it was a very bad cut. But, I thank God for just letting me get through it.
What do you think you proved to yourself with this fight?
Well, it's always, with me, I felt that I was able to fight this fight under circumstances where a guy was completely defense, then really press the issue to the point where he was trying to take the title. And I felt that I proved that I have patience, even though I got cut, and the first time being cut with a severe cut, I was able to, pray and was able to go on to, to win the fight.
And Evander, the public's perception, do you feel they thought you had to win this fight explosively against a 42-year-old guy?
Well, I really don't know. I don't know pretty much what the public is thinking right about now, but, I realized that I fought a smart fight, and I got the job done, and I thank God.
Final thing, what's next for Evander Holyfield? Who's your next defense?
Right now, they talk about me fighting the winner of Reddit Bowl and Coaster. And I'm going to go back and take a rest and get home and see my kids for Father's Day.
Okay, Evander Holyfield, congratulations.
Thank you.
Still the heavyweight champion.
Meanwhile, Holmes, a 42-year-old grandfather, says he knew it wasn't going to be an easy fight, but he says he gave it his best shot.
Holmes, Larry, I thought you distinguished yourself tonight. What does it feel like? 42 years old, 90-degree heat, 12 rounds against the heavyweight champion. How do you feel right now?
I'm tired, but I feel good that I accomplished a goal, which somebody said I would never do. I went the distance with a great champion, and I'm satisfied, but not really satisfied because I did not become the heavyweight champion, which I thought I would be.
And, of course, this was Holmes' first loss in 7 comeback fights.
With boxing, and Larry Holmes probably doesn't like to be referred to as an old guy. Maybe a seasoned boxer is more like it. Crafty enough to go the distance with Evander Holyfield.
And surprising some in Vegas while he's doing that, but still, basically, the fight could be characterized as disappointing. Well, I don't know. Another old man opponent for the fighter that will most likely be remembered as a champion with no real qualified challengers. The 2 biggest names on Evander Holyfield's resume are a couple of 42-year-olds. The latest, of course, former champion Larry Holmes. And as Nick Charles reports from Las Vegas, this was another example of how it's past time for Evander to leave the senior circuit behind him and find an opponent who will add credibility to his world heavyweight title.
Evander Holyfield, the winner and still heavyweight champion. But questions linger in the Las Vegas air. What did the champion prove to himself, his critics, and the public?
I felt that I fought a smart fight. I fought a guy that pretty much wanted to go 12. And very defensive fighter and very slick.
Did he ever surprise you? Did he shake you up at all?
No, he didn't surprise me. As times that I let him get away with a lot of things to try to get him to become more offensive where I can counterpunch, because it got to a point where he just laid on the rope so much to the point where he was trying to get me to punch myself out.
Did you ever rattle him, Evander?
Well, I felt that I hit him with some good shots, but he was able to throw his hands up in a very good defensive way and keep me from hitting him with the other clean shots that I needed to get him out of there.
Tell me about your eye. You started bleeding around the 6th. It was an elbow. How bad was that, and how do you feel now?
Well, I really didn't know how bad it was when I was in the ring. I had a chance to look at it, and it was a very bad cut. But, I thank God for just letting me get through it.
Evander Holyfield wanted to fight Larry Holmes for 2 reasons: easy money and an easy fight. The champion got his money, kept his title, but it was no stroll in the park against an aging bull who wouldn't go down.
Evander Holyfield proved that he's very strong and determined, and he's also a gentleman in the ring, except for when he's really trying to take your head off.
One thing he did say is that, after 3-4 rounds, you were so defensive that he really couldn't knock you out, and it was a matter of you trying to survive. Do you agree with that assessment?
Well, I was not trying to survive. I was trying to get him out of there, hoping that he would get tired, which I've seen him do in a lot of fights. In the Bert Cooper fight, in the George Foreman fight, he got tired, and I wanted to work on his body, get him to come in there and fight my fight, which he did, And I figured maybe I'd slow down, let him punch himself out. And he didn't do that. You know, I heard him a lot of times, and I thought I could get him out of there, but I was not able to put with that one punch together. If I was able to put more than one punch together, I think I would have got him out of there. But you can't take anything away from him because he didn't let me do more than what I did.
Larry, did he ever shake you up?
No, he hit me with a good overhand right, couple of those, and popped my ear a little bit, but no more than that.
How do you feel? What did you prove to yourself, your critics, the public? You feel good about yourself now, and what's next, Larry Holmes?
You know what James Brown said when they let him out?
No,
I feel good.
You do.
No.
You look good, too. Are you exhausted? You all right?
Yeah, I'm tired. You know, you always get tired. You fight 12 rounds with a guy that's younger than you and pushing you to the limit. You know, you are tired, but, you know, you can't take nothing away from Holyfield. But don't you ever in your life try to take anything away from me again. You hear me?
Wow.
Or don't critics down there.
Not even those love handles?
Not even those love handles. They had to look at these love handles. Wait till they get to be 42 if they're older than I am.
Larry Holmes proved his point. He went the distance against a champion in the prime of his career. We can only hope now that Evander Holyfield's had his fill of the geriatric wing of the heavyweight division, so we can finally get a true reading on just how distinctive a champion he is. Nick Charles, CNN, Las Vegas.